All right, now joining us on One Shining Podcast is
One shining moment. That's what I'm talking about. This is where dreams become reality, where we come to grow and where the deal goes down. You're Tate, I'm Bill, and we are on Bill Simmons' podcast here. So what more could we ask for? I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Houston, what a place. These folks have done a remarkable job of presenting this Final Four, and I am so privileged and honored to be on this show. Bill Simmons has meant so much to me in my life, and you got Muggsy Bogues' jersey in the background, and that's what this tournament is about. This tournament is about the little guy beating the big guy, because you got Florida Atlantic, the little guys, and you got them going up against San Diego State, who, while they don't have the great basketball history and tradition, ever since Steve Fisher got there 24 years ago, they've been growing and they've been building. But when I talk about the big guys going up against the little guys, Florida Atlantic, they're not that big of a team compared to San Diego State. But San Diego State, like UConn, they are the biggest teams in the land out there. And San Diego State, they made Alabama look like a bunch of the junior high school players in terms of the Aztecs taking care of the Crimson Tide there. And then you got Miami, which is definitely a short team, a small team, a thin team, not deep at all, but they're going up against UConn. Yeah, the Huskies. Woof, woof. Just barking and scrapping and just clawing over everything they have. And the challenge for UConn coming in as a very serious favorite here is to win as the favorite, because it's much harder to win as the favorite than to win as the underdog. Because when you're the underdog, you just have so much motivation. You're playing a desperate game. When you're the favorite, you come in, okay, we're going to take care of business here, but then you have to have the discipline, to have the self-motivation to come out and get this job done here, the way that the people of Houston have put together this marvelous, fantastic Final Four setting here. Discovery Green. Yeah, I saw images of Lewis and Clark out there this morning at Sunrise Services there. And you got the baseball park on one side, and you've got the basketball NBA arena on the other side. You got all these fabulous hotels. You got this convention center, the George Brown Convention Center. I mean, the deal is going down here in Houston, and the people here in South Texas, they should be acknowledged for putting on a great, great show. Yeah, you got the music festival here. You got the Hall of Fame happening. It's all going down. Yeah, Tate, what's going on with you?
Not too much. I mean, I was going to ask you to set the scene in Houston, but you did a beautiful soliloquy to open this up, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. And that's
what you expect.
Soliloquy?
This is like a grand celebration of all that's good in your life. You know,
absolutely.
I found in sports, I was 8 years old when I started, 62 years ago in 1960. And here it was. I had no idea about anything in sports. My parents were not, they're both passed away, but my parents had zero interest in sports. But I found when I first started playing with my very first coach, who, like all of my early coaches, were disciples of John Wooden and Chick Hearn, I found hope, opportunity, and purpose. And I ultimately, over the next 62 years, I added pride, loyalty, and gratitude to that. And so to be here and to celebrate at this magnificent family reunion, to see all the old friends. I mean, I was having a quick bite before I came here to Radio Row, and I ran into a guy, Dave Lauer, who runs Athletes in Action. And Dave Lauer was the starting forward on one of the great high school teams in the history of San Diego, Mount McGill, which was the rival high school to our Helix High School. And he was, I saw him in the restaurant. It was just a fantastic reunion. But everywhere you turn, when you're here at the Final Four, it's basically like Hawaii here. You know, everybody's dressed in Tommy Bahama shirts, and the weather is perfect, and you're just having the time of your life. And there's music, and there's food, and there's parties, and there's dinners, and there's celebrations, and there's basketball games, and the games are going to be spectacular.
Yeah, when you think of, obviously I wore my Hawaiian shirt for you because this is what we got to do. This is the Maui time, you know what I mean?
Right.
Big Wave Billy, we have across from us, so we have to pay our homage. But when I think of San Diego, I think of you, Bill Walton. That is like the face of San Diego in my mind, of San Diego basketball. I saw Coach Brian Dutcher talking about, 24 years in the making of getting to this Final Four. How much pride do you have being from San Diego, being a native, and seeing a school like San Diego State make the Final Four?
I love San Diego State, and I love my hometown. Lori and I, we still live there. And to see what San Diego State has become and the way that they have inspired so many people and the dedication and the determination, what makes fans committed to a team? And I've been part of some of the greatest teams ever, and that doesn't even count UCLA or Helix High School. No, that doesn't even count Helix High School or my elementary school. It does count UCLA. But what makes the fans so committed and so loyal and so proud is the way we play and the way that we're able to live their lives that are challenging, but where the challenges are met with commitment, with belief in the leadership, the commitment to developing your own foundation, to jumping in and immersing yourself in the culture, and understand that the team always wins. Nobody ever makes it to the top alone. And to see Viejas Arena, the home arena for the San Diego State Aztecs, that used to be the football field at San Diego State, Aztec Bowl, Don Coryell and Haven Moses and Brian Sipe and all the legendary teams from the 60s. Our high school team would go over there with the entire Grossmont League and play a fantastic Friday night where there was 8 teams in our league, and there would be each team would play one quarter. So there'd be four little games of one quarter each between all the teams, and all the bands were there. And then they built this fabulous basketball facility, which is also a spectacular concert venue. And to see how the school has just grown up, they've got the light railed underground train subway system that drops you off right in the middle of campus, all the new buildings there. It's one of the most applied to universities in the entire country. And everybody wants to go there. And now the basketball team is just spectacular and fantastic. And the business community has rallied behind in the changing world of college athletics with NIL and all the different opportunities and aspects that brings, and the support of all the philanthropists in building the building, supporting the basketball team and the football team, the new Snapdragon Stadium. Man, the dream is alive. Here we go, Aztecs. And so we're watching these games, right? And San Diego State, I mean, they've got a tough route to get to the championship here. They had to beat Charleston and Furman the first couple rounds, not too much, but then it was Alabama and Creighton. And Lori and I, we're watching these games, man. We are on the edge of our seat. We're cheering and yelling, will somebody please make a shot? Will somebody please get a rebound? Guard somebody, come on. And then they win, and we're screaming, Aztecs win, Aztecs win. And my first call is to Steve Fisher to say, not only congratulations, but to thank him. Thank him for being the most important man in the history of all of San Diego basketball. And what he's been able to do is just nothing short of miraculous. He's done what Mark Few has done in Gonzaga. He's done what Lute Olson, Fred Snowden, Sean Miller, and now Tommy Lloyd have done in Arizona, and what Mick Cronin is trying to get done at UCLA. Again, it's just every game sold out. The atmosphere, San Diego, Viejas, the Aztecs. Whoa, this is going to be an incredible weekend of basketball, of life, of culture, of business, of science, of technology. And I'm the luckiest guy in the world, man. I'm right here in the middle of it.
And I love to hear it. And it's good for West Coast basketball, right? I live in Los Angeles. It's good to have a West Coast team represented in the Final Four. That's always good to see. I wanted to rewind a little bit and talk. We got the 50-year anniversary of one of the greatest championship performances ever. Of course, I'm talking about your 44-point performance in the 1973 title game against Memphis. Again, there was no dunking back in this game, so that to me has always made it even more impressive. One of the images I always think about when you're leaving the court, you You have your left shoe off, one of the most iconic pictures in college basketball. What do you remember from that championship game? What do you remember from that championship run? And how much does that stick with you still to this day on a 50-year anniversary?
We won the championship, and that's what I played for. And I was super lucky in that I had teammates who were willing to sacrifice for me, because Coach Wooden made the decision early on that I was going to get the ball. Now, my game was based on Bill Russell. Bill Russell was my hero. And I love Bill Russell's defense, his rebounding, his starting the fast break. And that's what I tried to do. And I loved our full court press. We had back-to-back undefeated seasons with basically the same team. We switched Henry Bibby and we brought Larry Hollifield in as Henry had graduated. There was other key players on the team, but in the front line of our press was fantastic. The records that team set in 72 and 73, 2 undefeated championships, those still stand today. But the crowd that we had, the full court press that we had, the fast break, and then when Coach Wooden on the first day of practice, as the sophomores, he stopped us all and looked around and said, "Okay, now we're UCLA basketball. And our game is fast break. Our game is full court press, physical fitness, up and down. And when you're in the open court, anybody who has it is encouraged to just go for it and attack. And no one will ever say anything about you having to pull it back out." But then he took a pause, which he rarely did, and he looked around. He said, "But if the other team is dug in defensively, and this is a set-up offensive play for UCLA," and then he stopped and paused one more time, and he looked all around. We're all like, "Yeah, Coach, what is it going to be?" Coach Wooden said, "If the other team is back defensively, and if Bill Walton and Jamal Wilkes don't get the ball every single time, the rest of you guys are coming out." And so Jamal and I, we just lit up, and the rest of the guys, they're just faces, they saw their careers evaporate, but none of them left. And every single one of them stayed committed to the team goals. And Coach Wooden had outlined those team goals, and the hunger and the happiness and the joy and the celebration of life that basketball was and always has been for me, and that was on full display at UCLA. Coach Wooden was incredibly strict and firm and demanding, exacting, challenging, tough, but he was fair. And he made it really fun. The practices were so competitive. What he taught us how to learn. He taught us how to compete. And the competition in our practices, the games were memorized exhibitions of brilliance, but our second team would have made the Final Four. And all these incredible players who just sat on the bench because Coach Wooden was not into substituting. Coach Wooden, he was the first great player in basketball. And that's where his coaching style came from. I'm going to make my players better than everybody else's players. And so then that's what he did. And so to have the experience that we had personally, and they're all still my best friends. 4 of the guys off our team are now passed away. Vince Carson, Tommy Curtis, Dave Myers, and Greg Lee. And Coach Wooden has passed away. And Denny Crum's having a tough time right now. But we're still very close, including our team manager. In those days, we had one manager, Les Friedman. And Les, he only went on to become the mayor of Beverly Hills. And so, Coach Wooden, he saw his job as teaching us how to become better at what we were doing, which was basketball, but most importantly, to be better in life. And Coach Wooden, he never had any idea how successful he was as a teacher because he never really stopped. He was a humble man, kind, generous, sharing, loving, giving. But, his happiness as his life changed from being the first great player to become as great a teacher as there's ever been. And his happiness at the end, he was happy all the way to the end. And that happiness came from seeing other people succeed. And that's what being a leader is all about. That's what being a team member is all about. And particularly when that success came with the acknowledgement to the help that was provided along the way. And so when I see and talk to and experience life today at 70 with all of my teammates, Jamal Wilkes and Larry Farmer, Larry Hollifield and Andy Hill and John Chapman and Swen Nader, Gary Franklin, and the guys who are still alive out there, we just think back think back mostly to how fun it was and how every single day, man, we got to go to play basketball. It was a privilege. And the trash talking that went on there, because Coach Wooden, he was driving that. Coach Wooden was the second greatest trash talker I've ever come across. Larry Bird was the first. And for Coach Wooden to be ahead of Kevin McHale, M.L. Carr, and Cedric Maxwell, you know that Coach Wooden had a very strong verbal game.